Hey y'all, it's Dr. Lala. Welcome back to another episode of the Revolve Podcast. This is the place where believers meet at the intersection of loss, grief, and transition to explore how faith and therapy help along the way. Because listen, grief and loss are a journey, not a final destination. And so today we have something that's an interesting episode, right? Because a lot of times we want this, but don't necessarily want to talk about it. Yeah. And so today we're talking about the cost that comes with becoming the woman God called you to be. Yep. That's what we're talking about today. Because we all want to become the best version of ourselves, right? But the reality is, it costs something. Not because God is cruel, not because He isn't a good father, it's not because He doesn't love you, and it's certainly not punishment. It's not. But becoming, it costs something. Because in order to transform, to become the very best version of yourself, that means you got to release some stuff. That means we have to let some stuff go. It means that we have to surrender. So those things that we hold on to instinctively, the things that have kept us safe most of the time, we have to learn how to let them go. Because the healed you, the whole you, the integrated you, the obedient you, the obedient you, it costs something. And the reality is, most of us want the promise, but we don't want the process. We don't want to go through what we have to go through to become the me that God wants me to be. Because nobody wants the process, but the process is necessary. And so today, let's talk about it. Let's talk about what it truly costs to become whole and healed. Because that's the goal. We're becoming whole and healed. Because here's the reality. That old version of you, as much as we appreciate her, as much as we appreciate the sacrifice, as much as we appreciate everything she gave, the hard work, she can't go where God is taking you. She doesn't fit there, right? So you have to outgrow the woman that you used to be, the one who was a people pleaser, the one who shrank so other people could feel big, the one who kept silent, who would hide her voice because she didn't want to be a disruptor, the one who was over-functioning, the one who doubted herself, the one who was constantly apologizing, right? The one who was constantly apologizing for just simply taking up space, the one who needed validation just so she could feel valuable, and the one who mistook survival for strength. Yeah. So becoming means we have to bury that old identity that we've carried with us for so long. Because the reality is, she was built in trauma. She was made out of necessity. A lot of times her decisions were made based on the fact that she was fearful. And sometimes those thoughts and emotions that she had about herself were shaped in environments that never truly saw her, that didn't give her the space and the grace to just be, to have those emotions. And the reality is, here's some truth. This process is going to come with a little bit of pain. It hurts to let her go. Because even though there's some dysfunction there, it's familiar. And that familiarity feels safe. It feels like this is where I belong. Not because you belong there, but because that's all you've ever known. And change is scary sometimes, right? And it's okay to grieve her. It's okay to grieve the person that you were. because she gave everything in order for you to become, right? She gave everything in order for you to become. She did. And so it's okay for you to say, you know what, she got me here, but she can't take me where I'm going, so I'm going to honor her. But it's time for me to move. It's time for me to let her go, right? And it is hard sometimes, and that's okay. We can do hard things, right? Think back over your life. You've done hard things. And so you can do this too, right? And it won't just cost you things within yourself. Becoming may actually cost you some relationships. And I'm going to let that marinate for just a second, because not everyone evolves with you. Not everyone will be happy to see this new version of you. Because the truth is, there are some people who are in your circle who were attracted to your brokenness. I know. And that's a painful thought, but it's the truth. Some people were attracted to your brokenness. Some of them preferred when you were quiet, when you didn't have your own thoughts and opinions. Some folks in your circle prefer the version of you that goes with the flow. So there are some people who prefer that. Some folks benefited from your lack of boundaries, from your inability to say no, from your inability to take up for yourself, for your willingness to be small. There are some folks who benefited from that. There are some people who preferred when you didn't know your worth. And here's the truth. When you start healing and speaking up for yourself and setting boundaries, honoring who you truly are, and walking in obedience to the Father, some of those folks may walk away. They might. And that won't be easy. It won't be an easy thing to do. Releasing those folks may be painful. As a matter of fact, I can tell you that it will. But I just want you to remember that God removes what cannot hold the weight of what you are becoming. There are some people that I like to call seasonal, right? You have folks who are seasonal, and then you have those folks who are meant to be with you for a lifetime. And it's important that we know the difference. It's important because once we're able to identify those folks, it makes it just a little bit easier when seasons change, right? But it is hard when some relationships come to an end. And listen, let me say this. Just because you are not called to be in relationship with someone moving forward in life doesn't mean there has to be animosity. Okay? You can still wish them well. You can still cheer for them. You can still pray God's blessings over them. Not being able to maintain relationship with someone does not mean that you wish them harm. Those things are not synonymous. It just means that we're not called to continue being in community. Sometimes that looks like we're on different paths. We have different goals. Our values don't align. And that's okay. That doesn't mean you love them any less. But it's important to know when your values no longer align. It's important to know when this relationship is a detriment to who you are, to your family, to your call. It's important to be able to make that designation. And again, I'm not saying that it's going to be easy, but sometimes it is necessary, right? And then sometimes, truth is, becoming is uncomfortable. So, yes, becoming the woman that God called you to be, there's going to be some discomfort that comes with that because becoming means that you're stretching. And a lot of times you're being stretched in ways that you didn't ask for and you weren't prepared for, right? Because you get pulled out of those patterns, even though they were unhealthy, even though they may have been dysfunctional, they felt safe. They do. It's going to push you into rooms that you don't feel ready for, but they're calling, right? And it's going to become a necessity. It's necessary that you go because, again, let's circle back to that obedience, answering the Father's call. So sometimes that might means you have to go even though you're terrified. Sometimes that may require decisions that really and truly scare you. Sometimes that might mean that you have to uproot and move. Sometimes that might look like having to leave this job that you thought was your dream job that you've been on for the last 10 years, but God is calling you to another arena, right? And it's certainly uncomfortable when He's calling for obedience and you have no clue about what's going to be next. But all you can do is trust Him, right? Yeah, because you're growing. And growth is uncomfortable. Healing old wounds, taking the time to actually look at them and dig in deep so we can discover the root of them. It's uncomfortable. Obedience means trusting the Father. Even when we don't know what He's doing, we know His character. And we can trust that His plans for us are good, even though I'm terrified. God, I trust you because your plans for me are good, right? And here's the thing, being comfortable doesn't produce calling, right? It doesn't. That discomfort is what brings forth character and courage because it looks like we're becoming, which means we're choosing to be uncomfortable on purpose. This discomfort that we're walking in, it's intentional because there is a purpose and a call on our lives. Because we know that whatever God has for us on the other side of this discomfort will make every minute of it worth it. And as expensive as this cost is, because when you start thinking about what we give up to become, right? Friends, family, that old identity that's gotten you to where you are, those patterns that feel safe, disrupting everything that makes us feel safe and comfortable. When we think about how much that cost us, it gets expensive. It does. But you know what? Staying the same is much more expensive. Have you ever considered that? how much it costs to stay the same, to stay in those old patterns and rhythms, those unhealthy mindsets, how much that truly cost. Everything that you're meant to share with the world. But because you chose to stay in that old place, that unhealed place, then those things that were meant to come from you didn't. The ways that you were meant to grow and evolve for yourself, they didn't happen because you were afraid of the discomfort and the stretching, right? And yes, it's hard. It is. But I promise it's going to be worth it. I promise it's going to be worth it. And it's in this space that our faith becomes necessary. It's essential to the process, right? Because our faith is what carries us through the parts that don't make sense. Faith is what helps to steady us when obedience is so heavy that we feel like we're going to break under its weight. When obedience means that I'm going to have to do that thing that I said I was never going to do. Our faith helps us to get through that. It helps to anchor us when we start counting up the cost. Our faith helps to hold us steady when it starts to get expensive. Because the thing is, you're not doing this by yourself. God is right there with us, right? In Isaiah 43:19, it reads, "Behold, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it?" Right? A new identity, new courage, new capacity, new calling. But again, becoming new requires release. Becoming requires that you let some things go, right? Because listen, God isn't taking this stuff from us. He's making room. He's making room for those things that he's doing in us and through us and for us. Our faith reminds us that this cost isn't punishment. It's not. The things we're giving up, this isn't to punish us, but it's preparation. And our faith also reminds us that this isn't about how hard you're having to work or how hard you're working, how much you're willing to strive. This journey is about surrender. Being able to hand over our journey to the Father. Right? Developing a relationship and an intimacy with him so that his will becomes our will. When we get to the place where we can say, okay, God, I don't know what you're doing, but I trust you. I trust you, God. I trust you with this process. Because as much as I don't know what you're doing, I know your character. You're a good, good Father. And this will work out for my good. So God, I'm going to trust you. So when we have our faith to strengthen our spirit, you know, we have to talk about faith's best friend, therapy, right? Because in therapy, that's where we are able to strengthen our minds. Therapy gives us language for those emotional patterns that we have. Yeah, those patterns that resist the changes we're trying to make as we transform. Therapy helps to give us language for that. Therapy helps us learn how to regulate our nervous systems. So when we do have those moments of trepidation, anxiety, fear, we can learn ways to navigate that in therapy. Therapy is a place that we can go to grieve those old identities that helped us get to where we are. We can be transparent and vulnerable there and talk about how hard it is to let her go. And we can do that in a safe space. It helps us to build boundaries so that you can protect the woman that you're becoming. Because sometimes we need that help to build boundaries, to learn how to set boundaries. Because remember, boundaries are not for other people, they're for you. Boundaries actually dictate how I move, how I respond. It's not for anybody but me, right? And therapy is where we learn how to integrate this new and healed version of ourselves, right? Becoming is a mental and a spiritual process. Everything has to work at becoming new, becoming whole and healed in body, mind, and spirit. So we have to learn how to make all of those things work together. So it does take our spirit man, our emotions, our mental capacity, physically, because all of those things work together. Therapy is where we learn how to build that internal infrastructure that it takes to build, right? As we're becoming, there's an infrastructure that has to take place because we're replacing those things that functioned off of trauma and fear and survival, and we're replacing that with the parts of us that have become whole and healed. In therapy, we learn how to make all of those things work together because it is possible. It is possible to be whole and healed, but it does cost something. Becoming the whole and healed version of yourself is holy and sacred work. And God honors it because it does take intention. It's not easy. And while it does cost you, it also comes with a reward. And our Father is with you every step of the way. So here's to the courageous you, right? The obedient you, the you who knows who she is as a daughter of the King, to the woman you're becoming. She is worth every expense. She is worth the work and the effort. She is worth every bit of it. And God will be with you. He is with you every step of the way. And so until next time, keep choosing healing. Keep choosing joy. I love y'all. Bye.